Welcome to 6 Alpha's introduction on the topic of unexploded ordnance safety avoidance distances. Firstly, we will discuss what UXO safety avoidance distances are and which factors they must consider in line with the best practice guidelines. Secondly, which operations need to have UXO safety avoidance distances applied. And finally, we will highlight the types of UXO safety avoidance distances that can be applied and the benefits of each. UXO. Safety avoidance distances are required to ensure that intrusive operations are undertaken sufficiently far from any potential UXO, so that, in the worst case, if it were UXO, the intrusive activity would not cause its detonation. There are seemingly different unexploded ordnance safety avoidance distances being applied in the UXO risk management business, based upon a diverse range of criteria. So, how should unexploded ordnance avoidance distances be calculated so that they are not only safe, but also in accordance with the principle of reducing risks to as low as reasonably practicable, or ALARP? The Series C 754 guidelines for managing unexploded ordnance risks in the offshore environment highlight that unexploded ordnance safety avoidance distances must take into account critical energy distances, positional accuracy factors, munitions migration and burial assessment factors, and an appropriate factor of safety. Any operation classed as intrusive, that is, by design making contact with the seabed or introducing a force directly or indirectly into the seabed, must avoid potential UXO by appropriate safety avoidance distances. This includes, but is not limited to, geotechnical and environmental sampling, including grab sampling and met buoy deployment, prelay grapnel run and other route clearance operations, cable and pipeline freelay, ploughing, trenching and cutting, post-installation protection such as rock dumping and mattressing, piling and any enabling operations required to undertake these such as anchoring or jack-up barges and vessels. Taking all necessary factors into account, we can usually set a provisional baseline and generic safety avoidance distance for most, but not all types of intrusive activity in advance of our delivery of an ALARP safety sign-off certification. Such figures take into account the worst-case scenario, and the avoidance distances tend to err on the side of caution, which can mean that avoidance distances can be rather larger than they might otherwise need to be. Nevertheless, safety avoidance distances must always be properly validated and for safety, continuity of process and evidential purposes. And at 6 Alpha, we always verify any safety avoidance distances because we have found that relying on a simple baseline or so-called industry standard assumption is commonly incorrect, and in some cases it could be dangerous. 6 Alpha were the first UXO consultancy to offer equipment-specific safety avoidance distances. These are provided through the medium of our Technical Advisory Notes, also known as TANs. TANs are used to reduce safety avoidance distance to their absolute minimum to provide extra flexibility to the project, but in a verifiable and safe fashion. TANs transparently evidence in detail our calculations of critical energy distances and positional accuracies with those specific equipment employed on a project-by-project basis. In summary, generic safety avoidance distances are provided by default as part of 6 Alpha's ALARP safety sign-off certification. They generally err on the side of caution and consider the worst-case scenario, affording a generous level of safety. However, generic safety avoidances do not consider the subtle nuances of all specific equipment that might be employed on a project. Through the medium of 6 Alpha's TANs, however, equipment-specific safety avoidance distances can be calculated and reduced to their absolute minimum. As a result, this can greatly reduce the number of potential UXO that need to be avoided or even investigated, reducing schedule and costs, whilst affording extra flexibility for operations. At 6 Alpha, we pride ourselves on ensuring that all potential UXO avoidance distances are not only correct, but also clearly explained and that they are not overly conservative. We do not apply so-called industry standard avoidances, as these might otherwise prove expensive and time-consuming, not to mention dangerous. Remember, any seabed intrusive operation, which by design makes contact with the seabed or introduces a force into the seabed, must avoid UXO by appropriate safety avoidance distances and can have these calculated on a case-by-case basis. All of our avoidance distances are technically justified through verifiable calculations, which is important to ensure the ALARP safety sign-off certification is compliant with the local jurisdiction as well as with best practice. That is, in line with Series C 754 guidance and ALARP risk reduction principles. The benefit of employing such an approach is that investigative and installation contractors have greater flexibility with assured safety, and that the project can deliver the former and latter at best value within schedule and cost bounds. Thank you for engaging with our discussion on UXO safety avoidance distances. For more information, please visit our website. And if you found this video helpful, please share, like, and subscribe, and browse our other informational videos. Thank you.